and welcome to a special 2015 Signing Day special edition of the Tom Sawyer Show. I'm joined by the head football coach, Tom Sawyer, and the assistant coach and recruiting coordinator, Zac Barton. Coach, I know it's one of your favorite days of the year, recruiting, get everyone for new season here. Overall, what do you think of this year's class?
Oh, it's been awesome. I think the work that our coaches did to put in to get these kids in here, we got 36 kids or so rolling into Winona here in the fall, and we're very excited about it. Took care of some needs that we had to have in this recruiting class, and really excited about the talent level that's coming to Winona State.
Coming off kind of a disappointing season, where were specifically some of the needs that you thought that you needed to address?
Well, I think the first one was, we want to make sure that we keep Jack Nelson protected, and so we went out. We needed to have one transfer, a kid with some experience at least at the offensive tackle position. We did that with Tyler Anglin, a 6'6" kid from California who fits that bill and also creates some competition. But along with that, we also signed 3 other kids, with the smallest one being about 6'5", 280 as high school kids. So I think we took care of that need in this recruiting class.
You mentioned keeping Jack Nelson healthy. Let's start from the top. He's going to be a junior next year, so it's time to look forward, to his successor. And so you signed a quarterback in John Rumps, a guy from Blooming Prairie, Minnesota. Do you think he's going to be a great player for you?
Well, I do. He's a kid, Corey, that he was up for the Mr. Football of Minnesota, and he was a finalist for that. The kid threw over 100 touchdowns in his career and threw for almost 9,000 yards. So the kid is a big, tall kid at almost 6'7", and can throw it. He's a very good basketball player. He's got the whole package, and we're excited to get him in here and kind of the protege behind, a couple years back behind Jack, and we'll see how it works out.
A lot of turnover in the running back position. You signed 5 from Jake Ballou, Patrick Bauman, Johnny Chamberlain, Landon Jacobson, and Justice McNeil Young. Talk a little bit about those guys.
Well, they're all pretty versatile kids. Each one of those guys are going to be a multiple position type of an athlete. A couple of them could play defense. But I think that the Bauman kid, Patrick Bauman, is a pretty special talent. He's a big, thick kid. He's going to be 225 pounds by the time he gets here. And the Justice McNeil kid is a very elusive kid, fast, very aggressive running style. So those 2 kids, along with Jacobson, kind of a local kid here that rushed for a lot of yards down there in Grand Meadows, another great player.
Yeah. Wide receiver position. If there was one place where, from the fan's eye, you didn't need to necessarily get a ton of talent, would be that position, but you still grabbed 4 guys. Talk a little bit about those guys.
Well, I think the biggest thing in that position is we got guys that can run. The Ballou kid, actually, you mentioned him at running back. He's kind of a wide receiver type. Colin Dillman here from Winona. We're looking at those kids that are fast, kind of the smaller return type of kids. And we do have a couple other kids at the wide receiver spot that came in, but those kids are a long ways away. But we have 5 seniors in our program right now, so when those guys graduate, it is going to be a dogfight to see who's going to get on the field at the wide receiver position. Yep.
Tight end Kyle Kerrigan, fullback Jack DeGroot, 2 kind of the positions that are crucial in anchoring an offense. Talk a little bit about those guys.
Yeah, well, DeGroot is a fullback. He's a hammer. He's 6'1", 220 pounds, and he likes contact. Physical kid. And Kyle Kerrigan, he's 6'5", raw kid from Cotter High School. We're waiting for him to blossom. We feel that we can put 250 pounds on that body, and we're waiting and see how big we can actually get Kyle.
Now, kind of shifting to the other side of the line, the defensive line, always been a strong point for you, and I know, Coach Barton's a big part of that. Talk a little bit, either one of you, talk a little bit about the defensive.
Let's take those guys there.
Well, we lost 5 seniors this past year. That took virtually every snap. So that was a big need area for us. We don't think any of these guys are going to have to come in and play right away, but we have some guys that, if they come in and show their best, they could possibly do that. We got the 2 nose tackles, Cole and Michael. Could not be happier. Very rarely do you target 2 guys from the very beginning of the process and you end up with those guys, and that was the case with those 2. Those were 2 we felt like we had to have from the very beginning. And we had both those guys we've had at our camps, so we've worked with them before. I've had the chance to coach with them. Michael came to our one-day camp here, and I've never seen a kid more explosive in a short area than he is. Just explosive and powerful. And then Cole came to our team camp for 3 years. I felt like he was a player for us already, so the ability to spend a week with him every summer was huge in the recruiting process. And getting comfortable with him and seeing just a tough, hard-nosed kid that's perfect for our scheme in there. Then we got Alex Evans on the outside from Wisconsin Lutheran, another young man that came, we kind of started right away in the summertime, came to our one-day camp, and I said then to him and his father, I was like, man, we gotta things go perfectly, we want you to be at Winona State, and it worked out. He was actually the first to commit and stayed with us the entire time. We couldn't be happier to have him with us from the beginning. Again, he's a bigger kid. We're 3 down front. We want bigger defensive ends. He already is 6'3", 250 pounds, and that's exactly what we're looking for on the defensive front.
Yep. Another group that you had a lot of experience in last year with veteran leadership was the linebacking crew. But you're bringing in 7 for this year, the largest group of any position. Talk a little bit about what you want to do with the linebacker position.
Well, the linebackers we lost Morgan Weaver, the kid that started for 3 years, and that's a big deal for us. And a 3 down front, your scheme revolves around your linebackers. So we address that not only with high school players, but obviously some junior college kids. Probably the biggest deal is Travis Frank, local kid from Caledonia, who was at Rochester Community College. Don't know this about Travis, but Travis started at 3 different positions for them on defense. Started every single game for them. He started at safety, outside linebacker, and defensive end. So talk about a kid that can come in and have an impact on your program right away. Not only that, Travis's leadership ability, he's a team captain for him, fits in well with our culture, type of kid that's going to hit the ground running. We're very excited about that. The other outside, we got Jordan from Libertyville. Jordan is another camp kid that we had that we couldn't, almost built perfectly for what we want to do. He's 6'4", 6'5", he's 220 pounds. Jordan doesn't even know how big he can get, you know what I mean? He's a prototypical, we only brought in 1 buck in this class. He's the buck, you know what I mean? Another guy that we wanted from the get-go, and we were lucky enough to hold on and get him through the whole recruiting process. So we're ecstatic about those guys at the outside linebacker spot. At stud, we've got a kid we signed from transfer from Lindenwood. We're probably going to start at Rover. And if he can't play Rover, then we'll move him down and he can play stud. Kind of a can't-miss situation for us with the linebackers. We're looking for kids that can run and like to hit, and all those guys really fit the bill there.
Absolutely. And then finally, the secondary, bringing in 6 guys here. What are you looking for there?
Well, in the secondary, we lose some other guys again. We lost, Pat Lazaro was a 6-year kid. Mitch Lunder was a guy that was around the program for 6 years too. So we need some help back there for sure. And again, we were just looking for guys that can run. The Ducks kid was a kid that came to our camp, and the kid had a 35-inch vert and ran a 4.5. You know what I mean? That's going to get your attention. We're looking for guys like that, guys that can just run. In our scheme, we're looking for guys that can cover man-to-man, and let the big guys up front roll, you know what I mean? And intermixing with those guys, or those 3 guys that we signed at the inside linebacker spot, those safeties, inside linebackers kind of all work together, got to communicate. And the 3 inside linebackers that we got, Nick Radloff, Noah Wench, and who am I forgetting? How am I doing this? Sorry, David Smith. Those 3 guys in there, again, a lot like the nose position, those were the 3 guys that we were like, 1A, 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 you know what I mean? Like, we get any one of these 3 guys, we're ecstatic. And somehow, we ended up with all 3. Like, so we couldn't be happier there. The safety spots, the inside, and with some corner spots, we got some guys that we're just looking for. Coach Curtin, a lot of times we take running backs, guys always have the ball in their hand, and we turn them into corners. And we got one of those guys from Sussex Hamilton, and Isaiah Webb, which is kind of looks like he's moving and fast forward on film, which is what you want.
And then, Coach Sawyer, what would you kind of say about the defense and what you want to see improved in it?
Well, I think the biggest thing was getting speed, and in all positions, and we got that in this class. There's a couple other kids like the Clint Warminski kid that, that's a big, great athlete up in Stanley Boyd, Wisconsin, and those kind of kids are really, really important. We got a transfer kid from Iowa Central that is, Joseph is an unbelievable player. A junior college kid that's got a couple years of experience. Most people would recognize, Andrew Spencer, a kid that's been playing for us. Joseph comes in, now it's like 2 peas in a pod with those 2 guys running around. Athletes that can make plays and are physical. And so I really think that that's really exciting, is the speed, the physicalness, and just football guys, especially on the front 7.
A disappointing season last year, 4-7. You're not used to that. What do you kind of tell the fans now? It's looking ahead, 2015, pages turn. What do they have to look forward to here to get back to the winning ways?
Until you said that twice now to me about last year, I was doing really fine. But no, we had some concerns. We're really excited about it. We have a lot of kids coming back. We had we got decimated by injury last year and lost a couple close games on top of it. So the kids who played last year got a lot of experience, and now they're fighting for jobs. we brought in some competition to go along with it. So I think creating competition is what creates championships, and we did that with this recruiting class, along with the kids that we already have in the program. And they're cranking it out at 8 hours a week right now, and doing everything they possibly can to be a better student athlete here.
Believe it or not, spring ball only a month or so away. What do you kind of want to see going into spring ball?
Well, same thing. We want competition. We want those kids that we've been talking about for 2 years. They need to show up, and we get young kids that got a little bit of a sniff of playing time, or they played a bunch of games because of one thing or another, and they need to show up big time. And because we have kids that want to play, that are very good, that are knocking on the door, and you need to show up and play, or you're going to be gone. And that competition again will set the table for what happens in the fall.
Yep, absolutely. So one kind of final thing to wrap up. Is there anything else you want to say about this recruiting class?
I think off the top of my mind, I can't believe that slipped my mind, but for the defensive end wise, we're talking about not having the season we wanted to last year. We had one young man that came up during junior day last year and committed, had offers from everybody else in the conference, all the powerhouse teams, and he was walking to his car when he committed and said, "Hey, this is the place I want to be. I can't wait to rebuild this thing and get back to where we're at." That's the kid from Milton, Avery Alsterhout, who's again was an all-everything kid. Those are the type of kids that we're excited to have, kids that are going to come into the challenge, the great culture that we're forming right now, and fit right in with our guys. And from top to bottom, I think this class is not only athletically but character-wise is right where we want it.
Yep, well, it should be a great spring and an even better fall, as we'll see everyone right back here on the Tom Sawyer Show for a new season next September, right here on the Warrior Sports Network.